wind in your face. Five dirty riders owning the space. Ride hard, talk shit, and leave fear behind. Go fast, don't die, live life unrefined.
Go.
There we go.
Now you can tell your story.
Yeah, tell your story now.
Very
On the
organic.
podcast. Okay, so here's my story. I moved, so I just got home pretty recently, and I had this bag. I had like supplements that I carry, and I just put them all in like jars, you know, so that they aren't in like, there's not a bunch of bags and like things. And I got home from the gym, and I took a scoop of protein powder and made a protein shake and shook it up and drank it. And I've realized about in the last 15 minutes that I took a scoop of this stuff called Beam Dream. And
Let it rip.
So he's literally maybe high.
He just passed out.
Yeah, that's it. The story's over.
Story's over. He just
Call for help.
He just got off camera and passed out.
This is the Five Dirty Bikers podcast, brought to you by Wild Ass Seats, keeping your rear in gear for the long haul. Join the Five Dirty Bikers on YouTube and chat with us on Discord. Visit fivedirtybikers.com to get your apparel and everything else. Now sit back, grab a drink, and let's get dirty as we dive into the world of bikes, keeping it raw and real. Here are the Five Dirty Bikers.
I'm still here. This is the stuff. Maybe we could get them to sponsor. If I actually fall asleep, for sure they should sponsor the podcast. But it's like it's 40 milligrams nano CBD, 350 grams of reishi, 44 milligrams of magnesium, 350 L-theanine, and 6 milligrams of melatonin.
Oh,
Hell
wow.
yeah.
You will not remember this recording whatsoever.
But here's the funny thing: is the scoop of this thing is like a 5-gram scoop. It's very small.
Okay.
And the scoop I took because I was making a protein shake is a monster scoop. So I've never taken this much of this, and this stuff works. So anyway,
That's awesome. So you are not, you might not be up. You are up. You might not be up.
Exactly. Yeah. I might be on my way out. I feel pretty okay, but it was a little strange. I had to download Chrome on this computer so we could do Riverside parties. But anyway, how are you guys?
Let's check in on you in an hour from now, and then an hour, we'll see how you feel.
Do you do the
stimulated?
Right? Did you do that like the protein powder, just like a dry protein powder shot? Is that what you did?
Oh no, I made a shake. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole shake. How far into the shake did you get before you realized what you had done?
I drank all the shake. I didn't realize what I had done until about the last 15 minutes, where I'm just like kind of not feeling, where I kind of like, man, dude, these things are, I'm like moving like downloading Chrome, and I was like turning up the brightness, and I just feel kind of.
I think this is a great new game that we can play where you get done working out, you have protein powder, you have the Dream, but Bean Dream, and then you have like 3 or 4 other substances. Just completely rip the labels off, go home, close your eyes, mix them up, and just see which one works and which one doesn't.
Maybe
you have creatine. Maybe
I would just take them all every time. I would
Yeah.
just. You guys
Go with roulette. We just do it all.
You know Princess Bride, where he's like, he's like doing the thing with the
the poison.
guy. And and he's like, no, he's like, I know. He's like, never get into a battle of wits with a Sicilian guy when death is on the line.
Right.
But he put the iodine powder in both of the glasses, and he just had developed a that's what I would do. So anyway,
this is what would happen to me is that I would go work out. I would have the 4 substances. I would do a shot, and we'd end up doing a podcast, and I'd have one of those 4-hour boners that you couldn't get rid of.
Yeah,
that's what would happen to me.
That's a good
one.
substance
We
to
can't
mix in.
see below your chest.
Yeah.
They're like, how many did you take? I was like, I haven't taken any. I just
I just came in because this won't go away.
You son of a bitch.
after 4 hours, call the number on the bottle.
Yeah, right.
Call this number. Anyway,
So Brady, I do have a friend. You know him.
Congratulations.
Brian Erickson. Do you know Brian
Uh-huh.
Erickson? Yeah, he told me to
Probably.
say hi. He told me to say hi to you. So
Hi,
he's
Brian
gone on the
Erickson.
last a couple, 2-3 Devilstone runs he's been on with your group. So
Oh, amazing. Oh yeah. Did you ride a sport bike?
no, he rides an old school Road King with flames on it. He's a
Road
big,
King.
real big dude, pharmacist with a big giant beard. That
Oh,
probably
yeah.
probably describes every single person you know.
You just had to say pharmacist. Yeah. Oh yeah. Brian's amazing. Everyone
Yeah.
who goes on Devilstone Run is amazing, and it's crazy too because it's like this it's such a weird. I go to so many motorcycle events, dude, and it's the weirdest family reunion every year, every time. Even it's just cool, man. It's cool. I miss it. We just put out the public tickets today for it, and just watching people's names come in, I'm just like, this is going to be awesome, but we don't get to do it for 9 months.
Well, I can imagine they probably sold out pretty quickly, didn't they?
All the others, so the first 2 that we dropped were like minutes. So we drop them in tiers. And we always give people that have come before the first right. So like the first 2 drops that we did, which accounts for 3/4 of the tickets, were they were gone in minutes. And then the last one we drop is like basically for newcomers, and it's the most expensive ticket. So once you're in, you have access to like cheaper tickets because we know if you've come on the run, and the run went awesome, and your name didn't go on a board of like these guys can't come back, then we know you're dope. So you don't pay as much the second time. Yeah, you have.
How many names are on that list?
Which ones?
The do not come back list.
Honestly, like 3.
I love it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there's one guy
Get black
who's been
booked
on
in
the-
Vegas and then there.
There's one guy who's been on the do not come back list for like 4 years, and like 3 out of the 4 years he's come back.
He just uses a different name every time to register.
Oh, we know who he is. We're just like, dude, you know, it's like we just make a note and we're like, all right, here's this guy. I mean, it always adds to the story. For me, it's like if you're rowdy but you're not malicious, you know, like if you cause problems because you're just trying to have, you know, you're just doing your thing. You're not rude, or you're not, you know, like, I don't know. It's a big motorcycle, you know, thing. So you're going to get some weirdos and you're going to get some rowdy people. But if you're not mean-spirited, I love you, you know, come on back.
I mean, we had a guy that showed up to one of our first events we ever did, and Dave woke up in the middle of the night, and the guy was sitting on the edge of his bed, rocking back and forth, just staring at Dave, watching him sleep.
That was me.
Yeah, we've never seen that guy again, but he was I'm fairly certain a serial killer. So
I think my favorite part about the Devilstone run this year is so one of my good friends, Brandon, goes and he wears the silkies, the little shorty shorts all the time. And so he and a couple of guys were interviewed by somebody who was there on the ride, and there was a comment made about, you know, they just love how the
gay
Devilstone and the gay community is embraced. And they were talking about my friend who he's not gay. He just
They were talking about
best ever.
basically like half of the guys who go on the run. So we had that conversation at the end. They're like, yeah, I'm going to write my article. And I just, you know, I really love how you guys just celebrate, you know, you guys invite this community and everyone seems to feel very comfortable. And they were talking and like going on and on. Basically like half of the people on Devilstone were gay. And we do have some gay people on Devilstone, and they are very welcome, and they're an awesome part of the run. But she was convinced that like a good half of the men who were on this thing were gay, and I was like, I cannot wait for this article. I didn't interrupt her for this article. The article came out. There wasn't a whole lot about it. It wasn't what I had hoped, but yeah.
oh shoot. That was
Yeah,
a great story.
And Brandon's awesome. Brandon always, represent. It takes those people who are comfortable to make other people feel comfortable. And when everybody feels
Absolutely.
comfortable, dude, magic happens.
Yep,
There's this
I
weird
agree.
thing. There's this weird thing about Brandon with no clothes on that's not uncomfortable, which I haven't quite put my finger on yet. So
You should put your finger
Do you
on
want
it,
to?
dude.
Hey, do you want
Yeah.
to?
No, don't put your finger on it, Ryan.
I mean,
No.
he probably wouldn't even say anything. He'd probably just look at me and be like, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?"
Like, just next time ask consent first. That's what he would say. This is your one pass. Next time
Yeah.
ask consent.
I mean, the last time when he FaceTimed me like just a few weeks ago, I mean, I got more than when I was even in person with him. So
Yes, you did.
Congratulations, Ryan.
yeah, I mean, he showed me his giant cock underwear. So there you go.
Yeah.
Here
So
comes
I
the
guess
rooster.
that's a good segue into introducing who our special guest is tonight.
Yeah, read
So-
us in. Read us in, Andy.
So
Wait,
first of all, welcome.
Wait, what's a good segue?
The big cock. The big cock.
The giant cock's
Oh,
a good
hey.
segue.
Ryan
There
not
he
having
is.
his finger on it.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the Five Dirty Biker podcast, and today we have special guest Brady, founder of Go Fast Don't Die. If you've not heard of them, we'll be sure to introduce you to what they are all about, as well as the Double Stone Run. But first of all, thank you, Brady, for joining us tonight. We very much appreciate it, and we were very excited to chat with you and kind of get to know you and the why behind what you do.
Thank you for having me on. I am so honored, guys. Yes.
Before we get started, hey Siri, remind me in 20 minutes to check on Brady.
I can
Done.
feel my eyes. I can feel, I don't know
Getting
if you
heavy?
listen to this podcast, but if you just started listening, you got to know that I drank I got to be 6 servings of this Beam Dream. Shout out Beam Dream, the newest sponsor of the. Did you say Five Dirty Bikers?
Five
Yeah.
Dirty Bikers podcast.
Yeah. There's only
Hey,
4
that-
of us here tonight.
You're the
But
fifth time.
you're the 5th
I'm the-
tonight.
You're the fifth.
Yeah.
You're the
Chairman
fifth tonight.
Biker tonight, huh? Who are we missing?
Our other friend Tony, he could not be here tonight. He had a bit of a family emergency, so he had to bow out this evening. So
Oh, prayers for Tony. Well, the Five Dirty Biker podcast brought to you by Beam Dream. I think I've set you up with a new spot. If I actually fall asleep, and I actually used to fall asleep, and my mom has like a lot of videos and photos of me asleep, like as a little kid in my cereal bowl or in my dinner bowl.
So this just puts you over the edge. The Beam Dream just puts you right over the edge.
I don't know.
Time will tell.
We're gonna
We're
find
going to
out.
make it through. So, Brady, I have a lot of questions. I met you for the first time last year at the Devilstone Run, so I shouldn't say last year, but a few months ago. I have always been curious to know why you created Go Fast Don't Die and where the name came from and kind of the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, so Go Fast was so actually the first time I remember hearing about it was my former mother-in-law. I can remember her saying the words "Go Fast, Don't Die" when we were just pulling out. One time we went to Sturgis and we were leaving. She said, "Go fast, don't die," and I was like, "I love that." Like most people say, be safe or wear your helmet or whatever, and ours says "Go fast, don't die." So that's the first my earliest memory of those words. We had and have a marketing agency. So we used to do a lot of logo work, a lot of design work for other brands and other businesses. And we needed one, just for ourselves, everybody has like their own little thing, and Go Fast Don't Die was kind of our little thing. So we had the logo for ourselves just on a shirt. We actually had 2 at first. They weren't even really logos. They were just the shirt designs that said Go Fast Don't Die. One of them became our official logo that you've probably seen on stuff. And Yeah, and then that kind of just became like our little like side project thing. A handful of us or a couple of us that liked motorcycles and were motorcycle enthusiasts, you could say, kind of put our energy into. And then disaster struck, or country song struck, and I got divorced, and my dog died, and my aunt died, and my business partners broke up, and I
Oh shit!
probably hit my shin on something somewhere in there. Um, and I just, man, just had about the lowest season a guy can have without dipping under. And um, that kind of the worst of that hit right around my birthday, right before my birthday, and so which is my birthday is September 10th, so it was just right into winter in Wyoming, and winter in Wyoming is a hard time to ride a motorcycle. And through that, like, it was just to make a long story short, just a very low time, a dark night of the soul over and over and over again. And then when the weather got well enough, to get on my motorcycle, which was kind of what I had left after all the things. Not that we had a lot, but there wasn't a lot left over. I got on my bike and just left. Rode out of Wyoming. It was still freezing. It was somewhere between 30 and 35 degrees. Like, I turned in this paperwork that I had refused to sign for a long time, and then just left. Literally, like, I was bundled like I could barely, walk around, but I just bundled myself up and, dropped this paperwork off, and tears were freezing to the side of my face as I was riding out of Wyoming. And that was kind of every new beginning is another new beginning's end, according to Semisonic. And that was an end and a beginning. And then through that process, getting on my bike and leaving and just kind of being like, I don't know what's next, got some miles to think about it. I ended up just meeting some of the most special people and amazing people. And it just seems like, I noticed the common theme seemed to be motorcycles. People were out there looking for an adventure. They were either running for something or running after something, a lot of times both, but very rarely would I run into someone on a bike out in the world who was just like, yep, well, just out for a nice ride, just not, like, there was no surface level. It was like people were deep. And some of the people that I never would have assumed to be deep, I'd have just looked at them and said, like, oh, they're just a shallow motorcycle, tough guy, whatever. A lot of them had these amazing stories to share. And when you started opening up and giving a space to hear them, you would hear them and you'd go, wow, these people are deep. Have you guys ever heard the word sonder? I don't know. You've heard of it? I just heard this word.
Sonder, yeah.
It means like to realize that everyone you see has a story. Everyone you pass by has like a whole life, a whole story to them, and you're just walking by. That word curses me. Like, I am curious about everyone. I want to know everyone's story. I've been like that forever, and fortunately, I grew up in a small town where I could almost get everybody's story. When I went out into the big world, obviously, like, now I have so many friends and know so many people that I don't even know most of the people that I know. But I went out and just started gathering these stories, and Go Fast kind of became the place where all of that adventure would land. So I would write from the road. I'd write journals and share thoughts and get on, Instagram or Facebook at the time and just talk about like where I was and what I was doing and what was happening there. And people started tuning in, and a lot of people resonated with it. And people wanted more, and they wanted more, and then they started buying our shirts. And we started the first drop we ever came out with, like an actual, because we had the shirt, but we dropped like a series of shirts, and it was called Ride Whatever, and it had a motorcycle in the middle, and it was just scribbled out, just because it was kind of like, man, there's this weird three horns don't play with long necks culture, At that time, this is like 2016, 17. Like, you know, if you ride Harleys, you're over here, and if you're a cafe racer guy, you're over here, and sport bike guys are over here, and you know, whatever. Like, nobody can hang out with each other though. And you know, we were sort of like, man, that's silly, because when I go over to these guys, they have such similar stories, and they would vibe so hard with these guys. They just kind of happened to get in with a crew or had a bike or whatever. Anyway, we came out with that, and people ate it up. You know, people were into it. Everything we seemed to say, everything we, you know, it has always been about sharing a perspective and sharing experiences, sharing lessons learned from the road, and trying to distill those, you know, these big experiences down to this couple words on a t-shirt kind of thing, and people just seem to resonate. So that's the long story short, kind of long story of the beginning.
Well, I think that what people really resonate with, and we actually talked about this a few episodes ago, is we did an entire episode on mental health and what motorcycling does for those who are struggling with mental health, and you know, when you should and should not use your motorcycle to improve your mental health. And as somebody who has struggled with mental health over the last 2 decades, I have always resonated with the messages that Go Fast, Don't Die puts out on their shirts, or, you know, on different items. And it's not, you don't even have to be a motorcyclist or enthusiast to appreciate those. I think you just have to resonate with those words, but it works so well with motorcycling. Everything that you guys put out is obviously, you know, reaches that culture, but it goes far beyond that. So I just have been very impressed with that over the years watching you guys grow.
Yeah, I remember Go Fast was one of the first brands or lifestyle brands or something that really resonated with me, and it was right in like 2017 was kind of probably when I think probably first got on Instagram. And I remember just because I remember when I went to your website the first time, because I bought the red and white patch that was on there, and at the time there was like maybe like 8 things was on the website. It was, you know, back then it was pretty small. It felt like if you bought something off there, you were like in this exclusive club, because there was so few things on there. But I remember because I was putting stickers on my toolbox. When I got the patch, I got this card in it, and I don't remember the poem that was on there, but it had this whole writing thing, and I read it. And I read it again, and I put it next to my table, next to my chair in my living room, where it resided for probably a year. And then I stuck it on my toolbox, and it's still there. It's been there for probably, you know, since 2017 or 2018. It's like in this center section of my toolbox with all the, you know, stickers and everything you get from, you know, as you're collecting from your travels. And that one card is still sitting there from that patch that I bought in 2017. And so it was one of the, like I said, just one of the lifestyle brands that I started following, and I've always just kind of stayed connected and following it. And what I liked about it is that while I connect to what you have to motorcycles, because that's my passion in life, you can take that any of your let's call them a life lesson, right? You can take them out of motorcycles and you can put them in something else, and they still make an amazing amount of sense, right? You can take that same shirt and put it on somebody who's riding a skateboard, and it still makes sense. And you can put it on somebody who's driving a drag strip car, and it still makes sense. And that's what I really liked about it, is that if it resonates with you, it's going to resonate with you outside of just motorcycling. It's going to resonate with you in all the other things in life that make sense. You know, like that you can apply just the words "go fast, don't die" to business, right? I mean, there's just so many things that you can use. You know, some of these things that you guys have put on T-shirts, and I don't. Sometimes you see shirts or brands and they're doing something very specifically that is like kind of kitschy, right? And I've never once thought that about any of the things that you guys have put out or put on shirts. They always seem very well thought out and intentional. I like the word intentional a lot when I think about the things that you put out. I think everything is intentional, and I really like that a lot.
Yeah, that's solid. I was kind of in the same vein, about the same time frame when I lived in Vegas. It was like 27. Or no, yeah, I was about that same time frame, and got into the products. But it speaks a lot. Coming from someone who's in brand, it speaks a lot. Just like there's so many people willing to put slogans on T-shirts and to sell gloves and to sell merch, and for the sake of just having a product out there. But you found a why that resonated with everyone, and that why is kind of what kept it going, right? I mean, it's not an apparel company, right? It's a lifestyle company or lifestyle brand, and you say that with like the newsletter that goes out on Sundays, or the rides that you put on, or the community that you've built that doesn't segment itself into different disciplines. And I think that's really cool, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand how to do, or B, like just aren't in the business of doing, right? Like they just want to sell shit and make it look cool and be an influencer of some sort, right? That's pretty cool.
Are you still awake?
Yeah,
You've got 4 minutes on the timer.
Yeah, no, that's everything that you've said. One of the things that is on a shirt, it says your life, not your words or doctored images, is your message to the world. And for me, it's like I can tell you whatever, any one of us can make up whatever and say, here's what we're doing. It's when someone else comes out and says like, hey, here's my experience of what you did. That's what your brand is. That's truly what your brand. You can say, I could come up with a brand and make a logo and say like, this is what this is. And write a beautiful, description of it and create a beautiful website, and it could look great. But your brand is what, it's the culmination of every experience anyone's ever had with your organization. And so to hear everything you guys are saying, it's just like, it's very validating, and it means a lot to me. I think, when I talk about our brand, I say we're a mental health brand. That's what we are. Like when all of our internal discussions is like, because that's what it was for me. Motorcycles was a mental health practice. There was something, I'm very ADHD if you haven't picked that up already, but there's something about a motorcycle that like my hands are busy, my ass is planted, I got constantly changing scenery, and it like lines up the cogs in my mind to actually be able to think about something. And so I rode in 2017, I rode 40,000 miles, put 40,000 miles on 2 Dynas, and it was because I needed it. I needed the time, I needed the white line to kind of just work through things and go, what now? And why this? And, and I could just take thoughts and put them on there, and something about being on that bike allowed me to actually think through them without like bouncing around. So it's always been a mental health brand. It's always been an invitation for other people to come be a part of it. And every piece we have ever made has been made intentionally. I appreciate that word a lot, Ryan. Like the goal has always been to be like, hey, what was the takeaway from this? We go do some crazy trip or a wild party or like, some culmination of all of the above. And it's never like, wild parties are wild parties. They're fun. You have some memories from that, but like the big things that you realize, like, man, you have to do this, let go for dear life, or, take any one of our shirts and I could tell you a story about how it came to be. And we try to come up with something like, and we think on the motorcycle, like, well, how do we explain this? Or how do you distill this down into a message that is fast and easy and you can put on a shirt and people can go rep? And the cool thing is like, putting a funny or cool or clever saying on a t-shirt doesn't really mean anything. But when people put those shirts on and then they go breathe life into the message that shirt carries, it becomes actually a real thing. The first couple years that we were running, everybody I would talk to, they would say the Go Fast Don't Die movement. And, that's not something we ever said, but I was like, I love that. You know, I love the idea that, this is a movement. I've always been about challenging status quo from when I was a little kid, going to church and going up to children's study and being like, yeah, but what about this? And I got questions and I have, to right now, it's always been a common theme. And, look, talk about like it transcending motorcycles. It's really not about motorcycles. Motorcycles are a piece of what it's about. It's a piece of our intention, and our mission is to contribute to the lives of the people that inspire us. We want to encourage people to live their life's best story, not kind of arrive. And that's sort of what I did. I arrived at this place where I was like, well, I guess it's over. What did I do with my life? And I kind of looked back and I was like, well, and I'm grasping at things. I'm going like, well, we, went to Mexico. I won some jujitsu tournaments. Like I had a couple
Hell
of
yeah.
things. Yeah. But like, I was like, there was nothing, like, I was not stoked, right? If this is my life, here lies Brady. Here's what he did. I was like, dang it. Everything in my life, at that time, it felt like the things that I was most proud of, which is relationships, and that kind of had ended in failure. And so I got an opportunity to just kind of quote unquote start over. And I decided like, hey, the next time I sit in this seat, which, the idea would be that I would be dead, or on my deathbed, I'm going to have a different story to tell. I'm going to have a better story to tell, and I'm going to have a smile when I tell it. And through the process of doing those things that, I was like, hey, if I'm okay with dying, am I okay? It makes you okay with living, and through the process of living, and getting okay with dying, kind of making peace with your death, you live a story that you're like, I'm actually very stoked. And so through that, we're like, well, we should tell everybody to do this. Everyone needs to do this, because there's a whole bunch of people out there living a life because they're watching us and they're going, man, you're living the life. They're like, you guys are really doing it. Congratulations. Or, they would just message me and say like, man, you're so lucky to do this. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, because I don't feel lucky. I don't feel like luck is what brought me here, but absolutely, I am very lucky. And you could be too, Right. And so our whole brand is a systematized process to come up with a whole bunch of different ways to tell people, hey, live your life's best story.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you say that too, because it's one of the things I love about motorcycling is the duality of it. You have this machine that's loud and noisy and visceral, and it takes all of your appendages to run it. And for me, it's kind of like what you said. When I ride a motorcycle, everything gets quiet. That's why I don't ride with any music in my helmet or anything like that. It's because I need that to quiet all of the other stuff in my brain. And it takes that like loud, visceral, machine where you're feeling the wind and the weather and the cold and the hot and all of the things for that to be quiet. And I can I can pick out these very specific moments when I ride, when I know that I've hit that point where all of the noise has stopped. And this year for me, actually, it was on my way out to our event to Andy's place in Whitewood, because it was like 118 degrees. We were going through South Dakota. So everything was activated on my body, right? I mean, I'm completely dehydrated and hot, but sweating at the same time. My bike is on fire. All of these things are happening, and it was actually so hot that it was hotter to open up the face shield on my helmet than it was then just to keep it closed. And I remember at one point thinking that there was nothing else to think about. Like it was like I had thought about all the thoughts that were in my brain, and there was nothing else to think about. And then I had that moment where everything was quiet. All of the noise had been shut off, and that's what I strive for when I ride, and why I ride is that those moments when all of the noise is gone, And that's what I love about motorcycles, because they're inherently noisy and dangerous and exciting and hard to do. Not everybody can do it, like that kind of stuff. And so it's that part of it that draws me to it. And I think that, to me, that's what your brand speaks to. That, when it's kind of funny when you brought up Semisonic a minute ago, because there's always been a line from a movie that has grabbed my attention like that. It's from Shawshank Redemption. And it's when he's talking to Andy Dufresne, and he said, "You can get busy living or get busy dying." And that is another one of those phrases that is just always stuck in my head, as, you have to, it's not a choice, right? Like you said, you're not lucky. You've made a choice to be different, to do that thing that scares you, or that's different, or that's dangerous, or whatever. And that's not luck, that's a choice. And that's what I like to tell people too, when they say that, is that you have to make a choice to do something different.
So what helmet are you using? Because my Mod Bandit is noisy as fuck.
Yeah, my Simpson is, but that's just it though. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have a Simpson too, and it's not quiet, right? But that's just it. It's all of those things that it is just more noise, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I have a question, and go ahead.
Oh, just some of those, it's like there's noise and then there's sound, and
Right.
noise hurts, but sound, like, did that. Tyler Childers has this. He has this song called "Universal Sound." Have you guys heard that?
Mm-hmm.
If you've never heard it, give it a listen. It's a great song. But I think about that sometimes, just the universal sound, just like and on a motor. Some people, for some of us, that universal sound is like being out on a motorcycle and that rumble. And yeah, maybe it's noisy depending on your helmet or what bike you're riding or whatever.
Right.
I heavily suggest there's these headphones called Bose QC30s. Bose made this headphone. They're a little rack. Like, so you see me riding a lot of times, you'll see this little thing around my neck, and they're like these noise canceling headphones. And even if you don't, if you don't like music or anything, you can just turn them on and they'll just dull everything, so you can hear everything, but nothing is noisy. It's just kind of like
Nice.
And if I was listening to it right now, I for sure would be asleep, because it's it's this beautiful universal sound. But yeah, what was the question?
So all of this, like, great success, right? Building not just a brand, but like a lifestyle, a movement, we'll call it, right? Did it ever get bigger than, I mean, sure, everything gets bigger than you think, but did it ever get bigger than you wanted it to get, if that makes sense? Like, where you're like, the fuck, like, is this worth it anymore?
Sure.
Like, it's getting too big, like, it's getting too mainstream, we'll call it. But was there ever a point where you were just like, do I want to scale it back, or do we just run full fucking speed into it?
So yes and no. On the culture community side, not even close. If we could have more people that could sit down and have these kind of conversations, like I am one of the people, you know what I mean? Like, I am as much of the people as any of you are the people, as any people that bring the message to life, whether they wear our stuff or not. The brand, to me, is people who are choosing to live a life that they're going to be stoked on, they're going to be proud of.
Right.
They're living a story that they want to share. That is the brand. And so whether you put a name on it or, I don't want to brand those people. I just want them to live a great story, as I've had the opportunity to do. And as we all have the opportunity to do, we just have to, punch the yes button. But as far as the brand, definitely not. I would love it if, it continued to spread and grow. And if the Sunday emails continue to get people who would share, every week we get people who share these stories with us that they're like, hey, this one really hit. And we never even knew they were paying attention. It's a wild thing.
Yeah.
That whole Sonder thing, like I said, it pains me. It's just an empathetic, the empathy knob on my life is just like cranked to 11 all the time. I'm like, turn it down. It's hard for me to go into sometimes larger, like Devilstone, honestly, is tough because it's small enough to be intimate and it's big enough to be like, I don't know everybody here. And I want to desperately, but like, I find myself a lot of times, like, I have realized that I can't. I used to I'm like, I want to know everybody and I need to remember everybody's names, even though I will never, ever be able to do that. But I realized, I'm like, dude, these guys can love each other and pay attention to each other And like I actually could get in the way of that. I don't want to be the bottleneck here. This is a community of like minds, and they all have something in common. They all have some common ground because they all chose to come to this event. And they probably all ride motorcycles, or at least they all chose to come to the same event. So if we could start on common ground, which is the whole idea, if we can start on common ground, then we can build on that, and then we celebrate our differences instead of starting with our differences and never linking up and thinking you are not me and I'm not you, and we'll argue about it over the internet or whatever. So got off topic a little bit, or not off topic, but off where I was going. But yeah, so as far as the brand, never. I want that to continue to grow. I want people to continue to respond to it, to grow in it, to contribute to it, to breathe life into everything that we say. As far as the business, dude, like for me, and some of my business partners might have different things to say about it, and they're great business guys. For me, the business grew. Year one, I was like, this is definitely bigger than I thought it would be, and then it continued to grow from there. And at one point, like we had employees that I didn't even really know very well, and I'm like, and they would bring designs to me and bring a lot of custom design. Like we had a designer that we hired, and she was so awesome. She was very cool, but she was, it was just like, I would come and she's like, what do you think of this? And she would show me we did a jacket years ago. I don't know if anybody here saw the jacket we did, but it was this really nice navy blue jacket and had this yellow liner. I mean, it was just beautiful. She used to design for Ralph Lauren, and then came to work for us because she loved the brand and wanted to be a part of it. But for me, I was just like, I don't care about any of that. I don't care about what the number is on the board. I don't care about the sales number. I do love watching how many orders the number of orders that come through, because every one of those is a person who made a decision to spend money that they didn't have to. We don't sell water, we don't sell food, we don't sell anything that you need. For me, most of the time when people reorder, I'm like, why do you need another shirt? I almost want to talk to them, like, hey, you don't have enough t-shirts, is this really the best way to spend your money? And I'm like, anyway, but yeah, the business definitely, outpaced and outgrew anything that I ever intended in the first place. I never really intended to have a business, or I love the idea of people wearing our shirts and being like, hey, I love this message and I want to be a part of this community and this culture and what they espouse. I want to promote that. I love that. And I don't want to buy them. I would love to buy them a shirt. I can't afford to buy everyone a shirt. So I love the idea that they would buy one, and that we might have money left over to go put on an event or to just exist and continue to say more and do more. But yeah, I'm not the whole thing, right, was me kind of riding away from business. It was me kind of riding away from, we wanted to grow these things, and a lot of that was tied to a life that I had in the past. And then when that life kind of crashed, I wanted something different. And for me, I've always been a culture guy. I've always been a community guy. I like people. And I love hearing people be like, yeah, I chose to do something different. Now I'm way happier, whatever that thing is. So yes and no.
I think it's interesting because you can, you can have that. I would use that. I would call it the Ed Hardy effect, right? When we first saw the first Ed Hardy shirt, we were like, this is the fucking coolest thing ever. And then at a certain point, it was like, it's not cool anymore. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably kind of what Prentice was saying, was like, are you afraid of running the risk of getting too big that your message stops to resonate because it's not cool? And what I've found to be interesting is that I feel like from the very first time that I saw your stuff to now, I feel like there's every year or so there's like a reinvention of what you're doing, because it seems like the thoughts change. And so they're cool because it's kind of like, okay, a shirt that I might have saw 5 years ago it's not available anymore. You know, and so that's one of the things that I really like about it is that even though, you know, you've gotten so much bigger, there's still a little bit of exclusivity about it because not everything is for sale forever. You know, you've grown, you've changed your, you know, what you've put on your shirts you know, has changed and on your apparel and some of the things. And so that, I think, still, to me, still resonates with being cool because it's still, you know, while it's way bigger, right? It's not the website that I first found with 8 items on it, right? It's still cool because there's things that I remember seeing in 2017 that they're not even on there anymore. They're not available. They're gone, right? So it's like if you didn't get them while they were there, you're not going to have one, you know? And that's I do think that's cool because I think that keeps you in that, like, walking that tightrope of the Ed Hardy effect, right? Not like just like the whole world has it and it's not cool anymore, you know?
Ironically, it's also the slogan for the brand itself. Go fast, don't die. Right? Like,
right.
Don't kill the brand. Like it
right.
just it works in every situation, even jiu-jitsu, right? Which is ironic because you talk about, Brady, you talk about jiu-jitsu, you talk about, like, you know, taking supplements to fall asleep on podcasts. You talk about like, you know, riding your motor. Like, it's so much of what you say is like, and it could be like we're probably around the same age where it's just like life. You want it to kind of slow down a little bit, right? So like in jiu-jitsu, you go fast, you get in trouble, right? Like, and so many aspects of life, like you try to slow down a little bit. It's just there's something there I'm trying to say, but I can't really put a finger on it. Ryan could probably say exactly what I'm thinking because he did the last time. But I think that's cool, though. I think it's cool that, like, you have this, you know, this go fast, don't die has, like, been the center of, like, who you are and, like, what you're doing with life. But then you're also, like, on the side finding so many ways to actually, like, slow down and not die as well, right?
Yeah, so I think I do hear what you're saying. I think
Good.
one of the coolest, and you can tell me if I'm off, but do you guys know who Jessie Combs was?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Fastest woman in the world.
Yep. Yep.
Friend of the brand, friend of mine personally. I met her. Her and me and her boyfriend almost got into a fight the first time I met them. They came to this party that we had at a little place called Camp Zero. We
know it.
Yeah, we helped to start this thing in Sturgis, and I had just won a gambler race. It's just the stupidest stuff ever. I had just won like 100-mile mini bike gambler race on an off-road track, so I was just pumped up. I was all fired up. Like, I got a gambler ring. Do you guys know what the gambler is? Gambler 500. Are you familiar with that at all?
Mm-hmm.
Well, usually to get a gambler ring, it's very exclusive. It's very hard to get. And riding 100 miles on a mini bike on a off-road course is not an easy thing to do. But that was probably the easiest way for me to get one of those rings. Anyway, I was stoked, and I came ripping into our camp. I was shooting rocks everywhere. Like, I did a couple cookies, like, into it. I rode into the building and out of the building and into the building and out of the building. Well, apparently I like sprayed some rocks on his parents' really nice motorcycles. Which, if you're familiar with Camp Zero, you do not go close to there if you're scared of, like, rocks flying, because it is absolutely outrageous all of the time. And I didn't mean to. I wish I wouldn't have, hit rocks on their bike, but he was very upset because he brought his family and he was being protected. But I like, I rode the bike and then I like let it, like, kind of ghost rid it, and then he got in my face and we kind of had our moment of, like, he was like, he said something to the effect of, like, you just threw rocks all over these bikes that are worth 100 times more than that piece of shit, and pointed at my mini bike. And I was like, I'll have you know, that is a world champion mini. It's like rolling out into the distance. I was like, that is a world champion mini bike that you're talking about right there. And I'm kind of joking, which is how I will always respond when people get puffy. But he was, he was very serious, and I didn't take him very seriously. Anyway, we're good friends now. Everything's good. But Jesse came into the middle of that and was like, "Hey, I'm Jesse. I'm the fastest woman in the world." I remember her. I was like, cool. And we chatted all night about the brand and all the things, and hung out. And both of them were awesome, and everything went great. But the next day, she was back over, and so there was, and I'm talking to her. I'm like, "Hey, so what's it like, going the fastest that any woman has ever gone in history? Like what's that? Once you pass whatever miles per hour that is, you're going 400 miles an hour or something, and you've passed it. You're like, no one's ever gone this fast. No woman has ever gone this fast. Like, what's that feel like?" She's like, it's just a feeling. Like, there's no way to describe it. And then I look out, and there's a mom of 4, I believe she is, and she's on a mini bike. And when she showed up, she's like, "Brady, I'm all in today." She's like, I can't get hurt, but if I do, so be it. Like, whatever we're doing, I'm going for it. And we had this little mini bike track outside, and this sketchy ramp that I made out of a wheel and a piece of wood. And I look out the window as I'm having this conversation, and I remember her telling me, like, "I'm all in on whatever you do." So she had gotten on one of the Coleman mini bikes that we had out there, and she's just on her way, just like pinned on this mini bike. She's probably going 13 miles an hour, but it didn't matter. She was on her way to this ramp, and I'm like, that like, no, like, I have to stop this. This is going to go. One, I didn't make that ramp very well. Like, I built it so that people would crash on it, because there's a bunch of idiots all trying to kill each other. But not her, and so she's approaching this thing, and she hits it, and I'm like, oh, and she like lands, not executed flawlessly by any means, but she lands, and she got a little wobbly, but she didn't crash, and then she stopped it, and the look on her face, like, she was like, "I did it," and this look on her face, and just the feeling that came from that, I was just like, I bet you those are the same feelings. I bet you what Jesse felt, and that, like, just, Knuckles, like, and what this, mother of 4 who decided to participate in our stupid games today felt when she was going 13 miles an hour on her way to a sketchy ramp. I bet you those two things, like, they know that feeling. And one was at 13 and one was 413. And that's where the fast is a feeling. Speed is a number, fast is a feeling, which I don't know if we still sell that shirt, but we had a shirt that said speed is a number, fast is a feeling. And that is the go fast part of Go Fast Don't Die. It's, are you living at a pace, that is joyful for you, that is breathing life into you, that is creating a great story for you? Are you going fast? And if you're not, then speed up, dude. Like, and the don't die is like, if you're dying, if you're going at a pace that's killing you, then that's why the other half of it's there. We have a little thing on our that was probably the poem on the card that you sent. We sent a handful of cards. We had a bunch of them, but probably the poem that was on there is on this page on our website. If you just type in "what don't die means to us" into Google, I think we're like the number one that comes up. But if you look on our website and you go, "what don't die means to us," there's an explanation there about, like, the whole thing. And it just has nothing to do with, like, how fast you're going on your bike, or, like, for a long time we get clowned on the internet because people would be like, "My cousin died," and they'd be like, "Oh, how insensitive of you." And I was like, well, you should have listened to what we had to say, and he would still
you didn't follow the instructions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. If you do everything we told you to say, you're practically immortal. But yeah, the pace of life, man, like, different speeds at different tracks. Sometimes you're on a mini bike and you're going 13 and it feels fast enough. And sometimes you're on the salt flats and you're going 400 and you'd like to pull an extra couple MPHs out of the deal. But checking in with yourself, checking on the pulse of your life, and not on somebody else and what somebody else said you need to be doing. We do that so poorly, just especially in the U.S. We think we got to go at the pace that the guy next to us is going. Go faster, whatever. Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
So Brady, is it the die slowly? Let's try to avoid death in small doses. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah,
Guys.
yeah. If you just Google what "don't die" means, there's like an overview, and then right underneath it says "don't die" simply means stay alive. But then you scroll down a little bit, and it just like scroll down right below that, and then your thing from like May 18th, 2019. It says is the "die slowly." That's actually that's not the poem that I got from you guys on the card, but nonetheless, still very, very, very great. I mean, it's like I said, it's very intentional, and that's just is such a connection. Is such a connection to me because I've used that in many ways. Like if somebody says, "I like your bike, it's really cool." That's what I say. It's very intentional. Like everything I've put on my bike, I've thought about how I wanted it to look, how I wanted it to ride, how I want it to feel, how I feel riding it, all of those things. It's intentional, and I like the idea of that, So anyway,
Yeah, in that poem towards the end, it says, "Let's avoid death in small doses."
yeah,
And
yeah,
that for me is such a loud, that's what we all need to hear. Because every time we decide, like, oh, like. I want to wear that shirt, but I'm going to wear this one because it's more conservative, and I don't want to, I don't want somebody else, whatever, to think I'm trying to be too loud. Or if you just rode your bike stock, right? And you're like, oh, it's probably not worth it. It's probably too much work to do this thing. Like, that thing breathes life into you. We don't get a lot in this life. Like avoiding death in small doses, that we choose death in small doses constantly. When we don't say the thing that we're called to say, when we don't take the step that we should have said, when you walk away from a situation, you go, I should have this and I should have that, and then the next time you have the opportunity, you don't do those things. Those are small death, those are, that to me is what the brand is about. Like, go do the little things. It's all that adds up to your life. Every book is made of a bunch of small words. So yeah, I appreciate that your bike is intentional, and everything should be intentional. Like even when you're being unintentional, you should be intentionally still. Like everything in moderation, including moderation. Like let her rip sometimes.
I'm just gonna write all of these down. Every one of these. It's great. Like we have my wife. She's a physical therapist, and she has the "Comfort is a slow death." She has a sticker on the back of her car that says that. And you guys have a shirt that's "Comfort is a slow death," and it is one of my favorite sayings ever because as it relates, right, like to any situation, it especially relates to physical therapy too, right? So it's just those little sayings, man, that like keep you like, all right, bet, like I could use that today.
Yeah, and even, challenging that, because if you live by "comfort is a slow death," right, then you are then like by that you may not have a great relationship with comfort, right? Some of those people can't slow down, and so that shirt, like they're like, oh yeah, that's my shirt, I'm gonna put that on, and like "comfort is a slow death," I'm never gonna be comfortable ever because that's dying. It's like, well, maybe you need to work on being comfortable. Like maybe you should do nothing. That's
comfort is imminent death.
We talk about this though, and there's a group of guys that I ride with every year, and we sit down in the wintertime. Usually like January, February, we start planning the trips that we want to take in the summertime, and that's we always we've done that trip before, and I'm always like, you guys, the only trip that we're going to regret is the one that we didn't go on. Right. And so we always talk about that. Oh, we've already been there. That's okay. But we haven't maybe been there in June, or maybe we haven't been there, whatever. We get up and it's raining. Well, we've never been there in the rain. So, like that. So those things are, the other one is that I kind of like is, the get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Right. So putting yourself in a position where you're not comfortable, the more oftentimes you do that, the more comfortable you get with things that are outside of the norm, right? Then the next time you meet somebody that maybe made you feel uncomfortable, you're not anymore because you've put yourself in that position so many times that you're past what that feeling feels like anymore. we talk about that. I talk about that a lot in healthcare, because that's where I work, is in healthcare, and so you kind of have to put yourself in that position sometimes.
That's why you need to put your finger on branding.
Yeah.
I love that, Ryan, because as being in healthcare for as long as I was, one of the things I always lived by and I told all of my patients is, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's not easy being healthy. Like it's nothing in life typically comes easy. It requires some level of work. It requires some level of grinding. And if it were easy, we would all be in the same damn place as everybody else. And then, how boring would that be?
Right.
And so sometimes I would have to tell my cardiac patients that, like, I know you don't want to do this, but I mean, if it were easy, you wouldn't be in this place anyhow, so
Hell of a thing to tell cardiac patients.
I know.
But
I said it
Dave
with
and
a
I,
smile.
yeah, Dave and I have talked about that just in relation to motorcycles all the time, right? My jam is riding my bike long miles cross country, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And I like doing that because not everybody does it, right? And it's not easy. It's hard. It requires a different level of commitment to what you love to do. It
also requires a wild ass seat.
Yeah.
Proud sponsor of
Damn
the Five Dirty
right.
Bikers podcast.
There you go.
Hey.
Yeah.
Way to get it in there.
There you go, Dave.
I
Good
love
one.
that.
But it's and I think that's so that relates to so many things that in the old phrases, right? If it's hard to do, the satisfaction at the end is can be so much worth so much more. But right, we see that all the time, right? Why can't everybody be a professional athlete? Same thing, right? It's not easy to get there, to climb that mountain. And so but I think Brady, that the actuality of getting to the point where what you're doing and what you talk about, especially, I'm just going to say it, like in the upper Midwest where so many people are so conservative, that's a hard thought process to think about, because you have to get outside of what you've been told and what you've been programmed to be like. You have to be willing to step outside of that and to be viewed in a very different light. And you have to be okay with what that, the shadow that you cast in that light looks different to some people like that. And I think that's why when you're on a motorcycle and you're by yourself and you're on a trip, and I know this has happened to you, and Dave and I have talked about it, you can go on the same trip in your car and stop at a gas station and no one's going to say shit to you. But you can go on that same trip on your motorcycle and stop at a gas station and 5 people are going to ask you where are you going and where you've been.
And they're all 60-year-old men, every one of them.
Or a 25-year-old girl.
I wish.
Never happens to me. They're never,
Yeah.
they're never 25.
Yeah, okay.
That's because Dave,
25-year-old girls.
stop staring at him, Dave, and they wouldn't think you were so fucking creepy.
All I ever get is Prentice.
That's right.
Prentice
Yep.
finds you at the gas station. Yeah,
I do.
But I that was the one thing that I found to be interesting one time, and I've told this story before, and I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but I was at a gas station one time, Brady, and this the gal that was working behind the gas station did that to me. She asked me where I was from and how long I'd been on the road and where I came from and where I was going, and I kind of told her those things, and she said to me, "Are you scared?" And like I looked at her, and I bet you it was a 30-second pause before I said anything to her, and then I looked at her and I said, it never occurred to me. Like I had never thought about it, or at that point until she said that to me, it never occurred to me to be scared, to do that, to take a long trip or be on the road by myself or whatever. It never occurred to me, and I don't know why. But at that point, it didn't. And then I was kind of, I was road weary, and I'd been on the road a long time, and I'm kind of a big guy, and I was standing there, and I looked around, and I looked in this gas station, and then I leaned over to her, and I said, "I'm pretty sure everybody in here is scared of me." and then she kind of laughed, and I went out to my bike and got on and drove away. But it was just that moment of clarity. Like it never occurred to me to be scared. Why would I think that? But a fair question, I guess, right?
A lot of people are, man. A lot of people, and it goes back to like what you're talking about, that it, if it was easy, everyone would do it. You know, a lot of people, and kind of the culture we live in right now, right, is this comfort culture, and people trade the thing that they want most for the thing they want right now. And I think people just they are constantly zoomed into what I want right now, you know, and they spend their time getting that thing over and over again. It's this shallow payment, and they miss the thing that they want most. And I just always think, like, if she would ask me that, like, are you scared? Um, if I would have spent some time thinking about it, I'd be like, yes, I am absolutely terrified that I will get to another ending in my life and I won't have a great story to tell. So I'm out here busting my ass so to make sure, and risking my life so that I don't, you know, so I'm not actually risking my life, because we all know where we're headed. We all know we check out. You know, we all know we have an expiration date. We don't get to know when. I have this tattoo that says invest your time. And that to me is like, you know, you can invest money and you can gather more and more and more and more stuff. And I know a lot of people who have a lot of stuff who, you know, they wish they had the stories. They wish they had the life. They wish they had this experience. And at the end of their time, they're going to look back, and they're either going to look at their stuff and be like, well, I don't get to take this with me. Or you'll look back at a story of your life, and that's different for everybody. But when you look back on the story of life, the story of you, the you know, the book you leave behind, you know, all that matters is that you're stoked with it. And that's different for different people. Some people, you know, they want to work their job and have their picket fence and like go to the lake on the weekends. I was that for a long time. I had sacrificed all, you know, I played in a punk band growing up, and I thought I was going to live in a van and travel the earth and play music. And it turns out I kind of do that a little bit now, in a very different way than I had originally intended. But when I got married and, you know, we had a little house and like I started a business, I was stoked. I was good with it. You know, that would have been cool for me. I was good. But as soon as I realized that wasn't my path, I was like, well, then what did I give up all the rest of the experiences life might have to offer for? And so I went out and tried to get them. For some reason, I thought that I didn't think I'd live past 33. I'm 36 now. And that was when I was 28, and I didn't think I'd live past, I don't know why 33 was the number. It just felt like I'll be done by then. And so I was like, you know, gather as many, you know, like as many experiences. And I've done that ever since. And now, you know, if I die today, you know, I did a lot of stuff. You know, I lived more life than I did in the last, 8 years, 9 years than I did in the first 28, you know. I'm very excited about it. But yeah, I just think some people choose not to. You know, some people, they would like to go ride. They would like to go do the things that you do and that you're choosing to do. And for whatever reason, they're scared. And I think that if they zoom out and they're not scared of like, well, what if I break down on the side of the road? And you go, well, has anybody ever gone out in the world and broke down on the side of the road and got through it? What makes you think that you couldn't do it too? You know, and when they zoom out and when they actually have a voice in their head that's not telling them like, oh, it's scary out there. It's scary out there, which is every voice in the media. You know, that's all we hear is it's terrifying out there. When you actually go out into the world, you go, wow, it is scary in a lot of places, you know, and it's very beautiful in most. And even in the scary ones, when you're not looking for trouble, most of the time, trouble doesn't find you. And if they would zoom out and they said, man, it'd be way more scary, though, to just stay home the whole time and live in a bubble. That's why we said, you know, the safety second shirt was one of like the first shirts we came out with. And the whole thing is like, if safety was ever first, we wouldn't do anything. Safety is always a second priority to the thing that we want to do, you know, and safety is way up there. Second matters. I tell my mom that second is important. That's way up.
Well, I think part of the reason that we deal with that is that our culture is so based on fear right now. Everything in life.
What's that? Self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And people are selling fear on every aspect of our life right now. So I think a lot of people that can't understand that or see that, that's kind of how they try to interpret things that they see. Right. Like, you want to look at, like Ryan was saying, he and I both, we go off forever on our own traveling, right? And people can't comprehend that. So they kind of come at it from, aren't you scared? You know, from their fear kind of perspective. And it's really sad. It's really sad because fear is really keeping a lot of people from living their life right now.
Yeah, it's this weird thing. Every time it happens to me, every single time, the night before a motorcycle trip, I almost get no sleep because I'm so excited to do that thing, right? That it keeps me up at night because that I'm so excited to do it that I can't sleep, and so. It's weird because you talk about you want a story to tell, and I've thought about that, and I want to live the story. Is kind of the way that I like to describe it, because sometimes when you're by yourself, you have no one to tell the story to, right? How do you explain that thing you saw when you're on a motorcycle by yourself? Because you can never explain it as well as what you saw. On the road, or that one moment. You know, Dave was telling me, and he said it to us, and he talked on a podcast about traveling in South Africa by himself. This area that he was going was some of the most beautiful riding, or if not the most beautiful riding he'd ever done in his entire life. And it's this weird thing that when you travel alone, I think you start to stack up moments like that. And you call them those things, like, this was the best ride I've ever been on. And then 3 days later, this was the best ride I've ever been on. And you start to stack those things up. And it feels like that every time, you know. I learned that even I learned that lesson. I would call it a lesson again this summer when I was with when I had an opportunity to be out at Andy's place for 18 days, and I spent the last probably 10 days riding almost entirely alone, which wasn't supposed to happen that way because Andy's husband got injured, but it happened that way. And I remember there was 2 or 3 days where I was like, this is the best ride I've ever been on out here. And then like a day later, this was the best ride I've ever been on out here, and some of the most amazing riding I've done in the last 3 years was in Wyoming, where there was nothing. There was literally nothing out there. My buddies and I were riding one time, and we watched 2 storms converge in front of us as we were riding into it. And in the moment, we were like, holy shit, that lightning struck like literally 20 feet. I mean, the hair was standing up on our arms. We could feel it because it was like 20 feet off the road. But then when you go back and think about it, it's like, yeah, I lived in that moment, that very moment. I was thinking about nothing more than just getting into that moment, and so I think it's definitely a mindset, and I think you found a way to put mindset on a shirt or on a cup or on a sticker or on a patch or on a hat or whatever. But you've found a way to do that I think connects people so differently than any other brand. And I'm not trying to blow sunshine up your ass. It's just it's a real feeling, and it's I think it's super unique to what you guys do.
Well, I do have a question about a particular item that you guys have recently made, because it's probably the one that has, and I'm not sure why it speaks to me the most, but it's the escargot jacket. Because obviously your guys' slogan is go fast, don't die, but yet you guys have put a snail on a jacket, which is obviously, we're not going anywhere fast if you're a snail. But my husband showed it to me, and he's like, I really think that you need this jacket, because whenever I go anywhere, like, I go places fast, like I walk fast, I do all the things, but like I am slowly taking all of the things in. And so like he's like, I just feel like this speaks to you somehow. And I've looked multiple times on the website, and it doesn't like give me, sometimes your guys' descriptions of what you guys put out there kind of gives you a reason behind it, or like how you guys advertise it. And that's not necessarily on there, but I love that jacket. Like I don't even need another jacket, but I wear that jacket because it's just like, I go fast, but I take it all in very slowly. I'm very mindful of how that works. So I'm curious to know what your guys' intention was behind that particular item.
That is a cool looking jacket. I'm looking at it right
It's
now.
amazing. I love that jacket.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And Ryan, what you were talking, you said it's a unique thing to the brand. I agree. I suppose the brand to me is all of us. Like we're inviting other people. We're at the very least, there's modeled behavior that people can see from everyone here to go do things, to go and like just pull the trigger, start a podcast, go ride your motorcycle, whatever that thing is. There's modeled behavior, which is probably the most important thing. Because like I said, your life, not your words or doctored images, is your message to the world. Your life, the way you're actually living. There are a lot of brands that come up with cool designs and cool slogans and whatever, and they're not out in the world. They're not really living it. And I just think our BS sniffer is better than it's ever been. Like there's so much BS in the world. There's so much nonsense. There's so much marketing, there's so much and then we're tired of it. So when you find something real, and we've always done our best to be a brand that is real. We don't talk about things we're not. We don't try to act like we are something we are not. We don't try to represent something that we don't understand. And so by you doing the things that you're doing, you are encouraging other people to do the same thing. That's modeled behavior that they can see an example and like, well, I don't know. Ryan said it was cool. Like Ryan did it. Maybe I could do it. Maybe I could go with him. Maybe I could ask him a question. And I can already tell that you'd be a great resource to ask if people had questions about, riding or a place you've ridden or anything. You would answer them in a heartbeat. And that's been a big part of it for us. Because for a while, I remember when I started riding motorcycles, I love fighting. I never want to get into a fight outside of organized competition, but I love fighting. I love jiu-jitsu, I love Muay Thai, I love MMA, I love fighting. But I used to think you had to fight if you wanted to be a biker. I used to think you had to be tough. You had to be ready to get in a fight because somebody might punch you in the face for, I don't know why, but I had this feeling growing up that all these guys were scary. And that's how, and that still exists for a lot of people. They see a biker and they're like, these guys look like bad guys, You
do, Brady. Let's get a roll in.
You don't have to fight if you're carrying. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to fight if you're carrying. That's
another thing, right? Maybe these bikers are going to shoot me, So it's like this scary.
Well, you're safe with Ryan because he can't hit the side of a barn. So
yeah. Okay. Excellent.
All you need is lots of bullets, Dave.
You carry, Ryan. We just need it.
I have a
slingshot.
A slingshot.
Hey, as long as you've got lots of ammo, that's all I'm saying. As long as you have a high capacity, you don't have to have that good of aim. So,
right.
Yeah, make sure you got 15 and 1 in there. But
that's what I that's what I have. So I'm good there.
Had a guy. Yeah, I need a lot of shots too. I'm not very good at things. When I get nervous toward the end, I usually really figure it out, or toward the beginning, I usually figure it out at the end. But
right.
So anyway, there just was this culture of that this is really intense and this is really intimidating, which I personally like. When I see something that scares me, I'm in. We had a shirt that said "Chase Your Fears." I don't know if we have it anymore. I think we probably still have the decal, but "Chase Your Fears" has always been one of our staples. Now we got so many, it's like we should just make a book and be like, here's how to live life. Read one of these, whatever one you need at the time. So to answer about the snail escargot, the thing for us is how do we make this approachable, right? So for a while we had the Snail's Pace race team, a bunch of us out doing hooligan flat track, and we'd sponsor flat track racers, and they had to fit it didn't matter how fast they were. I just don't care if you're going to win a race or not, but really mattered who they were at their core, and for us, that's what we want to be promoting. It's not the fastest guy or the most elite athlete or whatever. Their life might be completely miserable, probably is, because they've sort of they know the thing that they want most, and they've sacrificed all the thing they want right now. So most of the time, they're probably not getting that thing. For us, it's we want to invite the the average person. We want to invite everyone. We want to be an approachable brand. We don't want to be the thing that there already is that, right? There's lots of brands out there that like, you know, they're scary, right? Like they're super tough and they're all of that, you know, I don't know, affliction, you know, and they have a thing that says like, you know, like their whole message is like, we're tough. And, you know, like,
And bling. Don't forget about the bling.
There's not a lot tough about affliction.
the bedazzled booties. Well, here's what happens with affliction. You know, like you go out and you say you're tough, and you go okay, and then guys who aren't tough are gonna wear your stuff, you know, because that's what they need, right? Mm-hmm. And so then you become known as the brand that guys wear who aren't tough, you know, unless you're paying them. And
see, Andy, I think Brady's my spirit animal. He actually he brought it up, Andy. I didn't even.
You wear that shirt I bought you. Wear it. Pride.
Yeah.
But see that I looked at that snail completely differently than that when I saw it and how it ties into the branding. Because to me, the first thing I thought of was, wow, go fast, don't die, but do it with focus and intent. You know, which is that snail in motion.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the beauty of what they do, right?
So the whole thing, right, is like that snail is hauling ass. If you look at it, right, he's moving, and he's going at a snail's pace. So comparison is the thief of joy, right? Somebody else, you know, the cheetah would be like, this is absurd, right? You're not fast at all. And if the snail would listen to the cheetah, it'd say, I'm not fast, you know. But for us, we're like, hey, snail, you're fast, dude. Put your helmet on, ride this lightning bolt, right? And that's it. Like everyone's invited. Fast is a feeling. Everyone is invited to go have that feeling. No one's excluded in that, you know, unless you're a jerk. You know, if you're a jerk, you're not going fast because you're mad about something. That's why you're being a jerk. That's it. It's you know, we wanted like, what's the slowest animal we could think of when we didn't put a turtle on there because those guys are nasty. Those guys are actually kind of tough. I mean,
Snapper.
Got into it with a turtle, but those guys are brutal. But yeah, that's escargot. You know, as a mascot, he's perfect for us because he feels fast. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody's invited.
Well, Brady, we're like normally we do about an hour, and we're like hour and 21 into this, and I think that we would love to have you back on. This has been incredibly fascinating, but I think the most, if it's okay with everybody, one of the things I would like to end with is going back to Prentice's question about, you know, your brand growing. I deal with bikers. That is my life. I see them from all over the country, all over the world, and everybody that walks into my bar, motel, restaurant knows Go Fast, Don't Die. So I think that you guys are a huge brand. I think that you guys have, I mean, what you guys are doing is amazing. Not only the message, but also just as a business overall. And I will say that when I attended the Devilstone Run and somebody said, well, just go talk to Brady. Brady he's got the answer. And I was like, okay. And they're like, you know, Brady, you know, of Go Fast, Don't Die. And what I took away from that is when I went to go and talk to you, you spoke to me. I didn't have to tell you anything. You spoke to me like I was already a friend. It didn't matter who I was or anything. Like it was the most comfortable, most humbling experience. Because in my mind, you were this animal, you were this Sasquatch, if you will, of a human being who created something incredibly impressionable and incredibly passionate. And you saw me, you looked me in the eyes, and you treated me like I was just a friend that showed up to hang out that day. And I think that speaks volumes to why you guys have done what you've done and why you're doing it so well.
Well, that warms my heart, Andy. That's what you are. You are a friend who showed up today to hang out. Like, you know, the brand, I didn't make the brand. Everybody who wears the brand and breathes life into it and goes out and does that, they made the brand. You know, all I did was choose that thing for myself and invite other people to come and do it with me. So there's nothing about me that's better than anyone else or bigger than anyone else. You know, there are probably a lot of things about me that are not. So yeah, that means the world. And Devilstone, you know, it's one of a lot of things that I go to in the year, but it's kind of ours. It's kind of our opportunity to invite everybody to sort of experience
Brady.
Give it a sec.
the culture and community that
catch up.
we exist to serve.
That are not.
So it means the world that you
Hey,
come.
that's a cliffhanger, y'all.
Man, I'm saying tune in next time.
Oh, are you back?
We got him
Hey,
back.
there he is.
Oh no, did I go away?
We lost you, but I have a good feeling that whatever you said still came through because our recordings are all different.
Yeah,
So we'll just all be surprised by the amazing thing that you just got done
I
saying.
think you're right.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
make sure you don't turn off your or disconnect until your upload is 100%.
Right.
We should have caught
Right.
that. So
I remember. Yeah, well, what I said was, it just means that, you know, for me, there are a lot of brands on the internet that say one thing. There are a lot of culture vultures. There are a lot of people that anyone can just go, you know, create something and put it on a shirt. Like I said, your life, not your words or doctored images. People can. We're a sad generation with happy photos, you know, and I don't want that for us.
Oh my
You know,
God,
I-
yeah.
that's true.
I want, like Ryan was talking about, and like and Dave going out and going on a ride that's all by yourself that you're never going to be able to explain to anyone. That is your life, the feelings you get to feel. And there is a massive buffet in the world of opportunities to go and live and feelings to feel and things to witness. You know, don't live the same day over and over again and call it a life. That's our whole brand message. And everyone who is grabbing it and running with it and breathing life into it is the brand every bit as much as I am. So this whole thing is not about me. You know, that's what I love doing podcasts, because how often do we get to sit down and just have a conversation about whatever we feel like for an hour and a half? I love it. I love human connection. But you don't see me a ton on the brand propaganda. There's not like, hey, it's Brady again, and I'm here to sell you this shirt. You know, that's not our thing, because that's not our thing. You know, the message is the medium is the message, and the message is the medium. So thank you guys for having me on. I'll come back and hang out with you guys anytime. I feel like we chatted about everything and nothing, and I didn't fall asleep. I probably will.
That is a win.
I probably will right after this, just so I can't afford to waste that amount of sleep. Powder.
Fair.
But thank you guys for keeping me up and getting me stoked, and all the kind words. I'll be soaking them up for a while. So thank you guys a lot. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Brady.
No,
Yeah,
thank
man.
you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Absolutely. And just before you go, I just want to I want to say this. I implore the FDB community family that we've created, get out there, buy some merch, show Brady and his company some love, because they're doing something that is totally unique to many brands that are out there. And you heard it here first, and he speaks it and he lives it, and I think that is to be admired and respected. So there you go.
And if you use the code Brady Loves Me, those are the ones that, one, you get a discount of probably some absurd amount, like 7% or 17%. They change it all the time. But those are the ones they flag for me, and they go, "Hey, Brady, this person must know you. They heard your discount."
Oh, nice.
I love
yeah.
that.
I would love it. For a long time, I would write on all our orders, you know. I'd write thank you, and I'd look people up on Instagram. Like, I'd take like 30 minutes, just be like, "How's your new kid?" You know, and that kind of stuff. I can't do that as much now because we just get a lot of orders, and there's carpal in my tunnels. But yeah, use that. I would love to. I'd love to check it out. I honestly, I want to know every single person. I know I can't. I know I shouldn't. But I love you all, and so thank you for being a part of this. And whoever's listening, thanks for taking the time to listen to us babble for an hour and a half.
Thank you, Brady. Have
Yeah,
a good night.
Thanks,
Stay
guys.
warm and stay warm over there.
Oh, it's very warm in here. Yeah, I'm great. And yeah, let's do this again. If you ever want to dial it down and like say like, hey, let's talk about this thing specifically, because I'm sure you guys have a million stories, a million different perspectives that we could talk about, and I can talk about anything forever. So, and I love it.
Dude, we could have a whole podcast on jiu-jitsu. Yeah, we could talk.
We absolutely could. Do you do jiu-jitsu? Are you a jiu-jitsu guy?
Yeah, I have for about 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Where do you train?
Yeah. It's Ralph Gracie in Port Orange, Florida.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Ralph Gracie's
I train
legit.
under Regis Calixto. He's good. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Well, maybe as we get closer to Devilstone, we can do something.
Yeah, you hit me up. You can
Okay.
hit me up with 10 minutes notice, and if I've got the time, I'll jump on. I'm all in.
I just I sent my buddies a note already, and I was like, "Devilstone Run?" Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? So
You guys better. You guys
Yeah.
better be there. Let's go.
All right. Good night, guys. We appreciate you. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Keep it dirty, bitches.
Bye.
And just so Sergeant Orange, that's not his name, but I'll call him out because he apparently is like timing my inappropriateness. I was completely appropriate this entire fucking podcast,
You were.
bitch.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Bye, fuckers.
Bye.
5 dirty riders tearing up the road, living fast, loud, and breaking every code. Go fast, don't die, keep your butt in the seat. Hold on tight, it's about to get sweet. Prentice up front, yelling, watch me fly. Andy's in the back, flipping off the sky. Dave's eating jerky crumbs all in his beard. Tony's bike backfires, damn, that's weird. Ryan's riding wild, pants a little tight. Is that the seat or am I feeling just right? Laughing like maniacs, we ride till we drop. Go fast, don't die, no brakes, no stop. Go fast, don't die, feel the wind in your face. 5 dirty riders owning the space. Ride hard, talk shit, and leave fear behind. Go fast, don't die, live life unrefined. Dave's bike is smoking, smells like regret. He's yelling, it's fine, but he's dripping sweat. And he shouts, did you just fart again? Tony's like, nah, it's my jerky, my friend. Ryan leans hard, but his pants start to split. Prentice laughs so hard, he nearly loses his grip. 5 dirty riders, dirty mouths and minds. Go fast, don't die, leave the rules behind. Go fast, don't die, feel the wind in your face. 5 dirty riders tearing up the place. Laugh hard, ride filthy, leave fear behind. Go fast, don't die, it's how we're designed. Damn, Tony, your bike smells like hot garbage. Yeah? Your face smells like regret. Are we stopping soon? I need a snack. I ate it already. Shut up and ride, you filthy animals. Go fast, don't die, feel the wind in your face. 5 dirty riders laughing in disgrace. Ride wild, talk trash, leave fear behind. Go fast, don't die, live life undefined. Dirty riders living life raw. One road, one tribe, and no fucks at all. Go fast, don't die, just enjoy it all.